Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my January 2020 book haul. I have two acquisitions, permanent acquisitions, I should say, to show you, and four library books. So I feel like I'm trying to start off on the good foot where my, library stack is larger than the other one. It's going to be an even bigger library reading month, or a couple of reading months for me actually, because among these I am not showing you my accumulating stack of BookTube prize books. I'm actually accumulating those books much quicker than I thought I might. Hopefully I won't run into any immovable due dates. But anyway, crazily enough, I'm hoping to get through those books and a stack full of other library books that I'll show you soon. The only ones that I don't have immediate plans to read are the ones I bought for keeps, which I guess isn't too surprising. But I wanted to give them a little bit of play now. Both of them are on my anticipated releases of 2020 video, which I'll link down below. So that means hopefully I will be getting to them within the year at least. Starting with this one. This is Beyond the Shadowed Earth by Joanna Ruth Meyer. This is YA fantasy fiction. I have all of Myers's, well now three, including this book, her published novels. But I knew her before she was published, back when we were part of a NaNoWriMo Vidler community together, so we only knew each other sort of, generally speaking, but I was really impressed by her commitment to her career, and I wanted to give her writing a chance, and it's been a really fun ride. This is actually a companion novel to her first novel, Beneath the Haunting Sea. And I remember when I read that novel, I thought, there's so much rich world building here that I wish she'd go back to the world. And guess what? In this book she did. She's following a very minor character from that first story around in this one. And here's the summary from the flap. Ida is determined to become empress, no matter the cost. 9 years after Ida made a pact with the god of the mountain to rule half the world, her hold on the empire begins to crumble. Betrayed and desperate, she embarks on a harrowing journey to confront the god and take back her power. However, he is trapped at the center of an otherworldly labyrinth, and Ida must fight her way through the circles of death, time, and sorrow to reach him. In the god's realm, she discovers she's bargained away more than could ever be imagined, and now it's time to pay. So I like this. I'm a fan of fantasy that, has fantasy in it. I'm actually dealing with the concept of gods in my own fantasy project that I'm very much at the beginning of writing. But anyway, this is also technically my first signed book of the year, not because I actually was able to, meet Joanna in person because she lives across the country from me, but thank goodness for YA and the marketing and, sending out signed book plates. So I was able to put this bookmark and this book plate in my novel, so I'm excited. The second book I want to talk about, I didn't think I'd get for another week or so, but here it is. This is the Toni Morrison Book Club. I think I held it up in another recent video. I found this actually through Russell at Ink and Paper blog. He got, I think, an advanced copy, and I was really excited because I knew I would be embarking on a Toni Morrison reading project this year. And I erroneously, and I guess without much study, thought that the professors who wrote this volume would be doing essays on each of her novels. I think that was incredible wishful thinking on my part. That's not what this is. I believe they center on a couple of novels and sort of use it as a springboard into using her literature to address themes in their own lives, and I think I'll be getting to it probably near the end of the year after I finish my Toni Morrison project. Speaking of my Toni Morrison project, I am up to reading book number 2 in February. This is her second published book, Sula, and this is the only book of hers that I've read before. I read this for a college class, and most of what I remember now is desperately scrambling to write a paper about it. So I've been living with guilt for several years now about how I don't really remember this venerated novel, and it feels like by rereading it at last I am righting a great wrong. I'm very excited to be getting back to this, and I'm excited that I'm taking place in a broader booktube reading project, Toni Morrison 2020, started by Hannah from Hannah's Books. So we have a Voxer going, and I'm sure people will be sharing their thoughts on this book soon, so it's going to be a great time. In other book club reading news, more traditional book club, I guess, this is the February pick for my in-person book club called Button Man by Andrew Gross. We're meeting at the end of the month to discuss this one. And I'll read from the flap. Morris Saul and Harry Robichevsky grew up poor and rough on New York's Lower East Side until the death of their father forced them to support the family. Morris, the youngest but most driven and pugnacious, apprentices himself at 12 to a garment manufacturer. Bookish Saul drops out of accounting school, but Harry, scarred by a family tragedy, is lured under the wing of a charismatic crime figure. Morris rises through the factory until, at age 21, he convinces Saul to join him in their own business. But Harry can't give up the glamour and prestige that comes with being a button man, a gunman, for Louis Buchalter, I think, the most ruthless mobster in New York. And when Buchalter sets his sights on the unions that control the garment factories, a fatal showdown is inevitable, pitting brother against brother. Equal parts historical thriller and family saga, with appearances by real-life characters and mobsters. Louis Lepke Buchalter, hadn't heard of that one, and Dutch Schultz, had heard of that one, and Special Prosecutor Thomas Dewey. Button Man cements Gross's reputation as today's most atmospheric and original historical thriller writer. That's interesting. I've never heard, I think, of that particular subgenre, historical thriller, although I guess it makes a lot of sense, especially with how popular the whole mobster era is. This is a little off the beaten path, I guess, for our group, although I think it might entice more male members to show up. And I'm interested to give something a little new to me a try. And finally, I'm going to talk about 2 library books that are a part of another personal reading project for myself. These are both written by Jewish authors about the character of Noah's wife from the Bible. Starting with this one, Naamah by Sarah Blake, which was written recently, just last year, to a bit of acclaim. In fact, it was a contender for the long list for the BookTube Prize, but alas, it didn't make it. I was kind of hoping it would. Then could have kicked off another book off the BookTube Prize list. But I'll be doing it myself anyway. And then from a few years prior, I have Sinners in the Sea by Rebecca Canner. So I'll be reading these 2 books in February and hopefully talking about them on this channel and possibly on my reading and writing blog as well. Very excited, and you know, I always love to have a geeky little project for myself. So that about covers it for me now. I will leave the Goodreads links for all of these books down below. I'm excited to kick off into the reading of these and also my BookTube Prize books that I'll be talking about next Friday, since I'm taking this Friday to do this video. So hopefully I'll have made some good progress by then. No pressure, self. Maybe a little bit of pressure. In the meantime, I hope you're all gearing up for a great fun weekend. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.